Hello everyone, my name is Mitzi Tarans Esparan and I am really excited to be here today, and it's my pleasure to share my insights on a topic that's both powerful and incredibly practical in the world of data analysis. So today, we're diving into the fascinating world of dimension reduction techniques, so with a focus particular on the principal component analysis or PCA. So this technique has become one of the cornerstones of data science and machine learning. So it enables us to simplify complex and high-dimensional data sets while retaining as much of the essential information as possible. So let's explore how PCA works and why it is such a game changer for data scientists and researchers alike. Now that we've set the stage, let's take a look at what we're going to achieve today. So our primary objective is to explore the concept of principal component analysis and understand how it can be applied to reduce the dimensions of complex datasets. So by the end of our session, we aim to discuss the introduction to principal component analysis, including the procedure and its application, and then apply PCA in Python software. So I'm really excited to guide you through these objectives and help you walk away with a clear understanding of how dimension reduction techniques like PCA works. So again, this presentation focuses on principal component analysis, which is a method used to reduce the number of features in a dataset while keeping the most important information. So PSA works by creating new features, or what we call the principal components. So these principal components summarizes the original data in a simpler way. So this helps to make models less complex, easier to understand, and faster to run. So this report explains how PCA works and shows how it can be used in real-world datasets to solve problems with too many features or variables or dimensions. Now, let's take a closer look at how principal component analysis, or PSA, works in the context of data analysis. So it is a powerful technique that helps us reduce or eliminate similar data points in a comparison. So especially those that don't add any meaningful value to the decision-making process. So this is crucial because in large data sets, there are often a lot of redundant information that can cloud insights and complicate analysis. So at its core, PCA is a dimensionality reduction method. So it simplifies large data sets by transforming them into a smaller and more manageable set of dimensions, all while retaining the most significant patterns and trends. So as Jaadi 2024 explains, so this technique allows us to condense the data without losing the essence of what it represents. So in other words, PSA statistics is all about analyzing the dimensions of the data, then reducing them as much as possible while preserving the critical information. So moreover, it's a key tool in data science that enables us to uncover insights more effectively and streamline complex datasets. Now let's explore some applications of PCA in real-world scenarios. So one of the most important areas where PCA is applied is in the healthcare data analysis. So by examining factors that increase the risk of chronic diseases, we can use the PCA to reduce the dimensionality of the complex health datasets, enabling us to focus on the most critical variables. So healthcare datasets are often high-dimensional, meaning they contain a large number of variables such as patient demographics, lab results, and lifestyle factors. So PSA helps in resizing and simplifying these datasets, making it easier to uncover underlying patterns, trends, and risk factors that contribute to the development of the chronic disease. Another one is multidimensional data Another one is that multidimensional data visualization is another key application of PSA. So it allows us to project complex data sets into a lower dimensional space. So it helps us visualize and interpret relationships between different factors. So this process not only makes the data more manageable, but also enhances our ability to detect hidden patterns that are crucial for effective analysis and decision making. Now, let's quickly go through the steps in principal component analysis. So, first one is we have the mean centering. So, in this procedure, we subtract the mean of each feature to the center to center the data around 0. So later on, we will show example following these processes. Then the second one is the covariance matrix computation. Covariance matrix computation, which is we calculate the covariance matrix to understand relationship between features. So finding the covariance matrix was discussed to us by Ma'am Alay. So alam na natin kung ano yung mga formula dito. And then, the third step is to compute the eigenvectors and eigenvalues. So, eigenvectors is the direction of maximum variance, while the eigenvalues are the magnitude of the variance. So, after we get the eigenvalue and the eigenvectors, so we create a feature vector. So, ano itong feature vector? So, in this process, we select the top eigenvectors to form a new feature vector for reduced dimensions. And then, the last step is to project the data. So, we project the data into the new feature vector, so reducing its dimensions while retaining important information. So, these steps simplify the complex data while preserving its key patterns. So let's take a look at the step one by one. So meaning the first one is mean centering. So sa mean centering, it involves subtracting the mean of each feature or each column from the individual data points of that feature. So we have here the formula. X sub-centered is equal to x minus mu, where x is the original data matrix and mu is the mean of each feature column. So to center the data around 0, this step ensures that each column or each feature has a mean of 0, so making it easier for methods like PCA or linear regression to focus on the relationships between features rather than their absolute values. So it is often a necessary step before performing PCA because PCA, as we all know, it is sensitive to the origin of the data. Then the second step is we have the covariance matrix computation. So this was already discussed by Ma'am Alay on how we get the covariance matrix computation. But for review, covariance matrix is a P by P symmetric matrix where P is the number of dimensions that has as entries the covariances associated with all possible pairs of the initial variables. So for example, for a three-dimensional dataset with three variables, let's say x, y, and z, so the covariance matrix is a 3 by 3 data matrix of this form. So we have here. And then, as we all know, the covariance matrix main diagonal contains the variances of the variables. And as for the covariance, since it is commutative, so the matrix is symmetric, so meaning the upper and the lower triangular portions are identical. So next we have the step 3, which is computing the eigenvectors and eigenvalues. So eigenvectors and eigenvalues are key components or key concepts in linear algebra, which used to determine the principal components of data from the covariance matrix. So, eigenvectors represent the directions of the maximum variance in the data, while eigenvalues indicate the amount of variance each eigenvector carries. So, in computing eigenvectors, we need to consider this following. So, first is that eigenvectors and eigenvalues are always come in pairs. So, each eigenvalue has corresponding eigenvectors. So, the second one is the number of eigenvectors and eigenvalues is equal to the number of dimensions in the data. So, let's say, for example, we have 3 features in a data set. So, three features in a dataset consist of three corresponding eigenvalues and three eigenvectors. So, and the third one is that eigenvectors define the directions of maximum variance, as I have said earlier, and it is known as the principal components, while eigenvalues indicate the amount of variance in each principal component. So, it is important to note that ranking the eigenvectors by eigenvalue magnitude helps prioritize the most significant principal components. So later on in the example, I will show you how the ranking of eigenvalues is helpful in identifying which feature to be included or which feature is has contribute to the or which feature contains more information. So the fourth step is to create a feature vector. So the feature vector represents the selected principal components and serves as the foundation for dimensionality reduction. So, di ba, after natin determine ang eigenvalue at ang eigenvector, so we select a feature vector based on the principal components na na-solve natin in step 3. So, by choosing to keep only a subset of eigenvectors, we reduce the dataset to dimensions, thus achieving dimensionality reduction. So, as I've said earlier, after computing and ordering the eigenvectors by their eigenvalues in descending order, we select the most significant principal components, and that significant principal component are those who have higher eigenvalues, and discard the less significant ones. So the remaining eigenvectors form a matrix called the feature vector. And then the feature vector is a matrix where the selected eigenvectors are placed as columns. So for example, we have here eigenvalues. We have lambda 1 is equal to 7.5, lambda 2 is equal to 2.3, and lambda 3 is equal to 1, while lambda 4 is 0.2. So this means that we have 4 features in our data. So this is just for example. And then the corresponding eigenvectors to each eigenvalue is this one, v sub 1, v sub 2, v sub 3, and v sub 4. So suppose we want to reduce the dimensionality of the data. So from 4, we wanted it to become a 2-dimensional data. So we select the 2 eigenvectors with the highest eigenvalues. So the highest eigenvalue is the lambda 1 and the lambda 2. So in this case, our feature vector would be this one, combining the v sub 1 and the v sub 2. So we have this one. So now let's proceed to the step 5, which is to project our data. So again, the goal of PCA is to reduce the data's dimensionality while retaining as much variance as possible. So by projecting the data into eigenvectors, the data is transformed into a new space where the axes represent directions of maximum variance. So this step uses the feature vector formed from the eigenvectors of the covariance matrix to reorient the data from the original axis to those represented by the principal components. So this transformation is achieved by multiplying the mean center data matrix that we solve in step 1 by the eigenvector matrix which we solved in step 4. So this is now the formula: z equals x subcentered times w, where z is the transfer data or the projected data, and w is the matrix of eigenvectors or the principal components. So now let's walk through a sample problem to see how PCA works in practice. So imagine we have a data set with simple muna tayo. So 2 features. So let's say we have here measurements of x and feature y. So as shown in the table. So we have the number of features, which is 2, and the number of samples each feature is we have 4. So first thing first is find the mean and the variance of each feature in the data set. So we have here for x we have 8 and y sub bar is 8.5. Now recall on the step 1 is we have to get the mean center data. So the thing that we're gonna do is to subtract each sample in each feature to its corresponding mean. So we have here 4 minus 8, and then 8 minus 8, 13 minus 8, 7 minus 8, and then in the other feature in y we have 11 minus 8.5, and so on. So we have here now our x-centered or the mean-centered data, which will be used in the 5th step. Now moving on to step 2 is the computation of covariance matrix. So we have here the first one is we find the variance so of the first S sub xx, so we have 14, and then the variance SYY is 23, and since our covariance is symmetric, so we have for S sub xy and S sub yx, we have both negative 11. So this is now our covariance matrix. Since tapos na tayo sa covariance matrix, sa pagkuha ng covariance matrix, so we proceed to the step 3, which is computing the eigenvalues, eigenvectors, and then normalizing the eigenvector. So when we compute the eigenvalues of a covariance matrix, we are essentially solving a characteristic equation. So this equation is derived from the formula, which is determinant of A minus lambda times identity matrix equal to 0. So A here is the covariance matrix, and then lambda represents the eigenvalue, and I is the identity matrix. So to find eigenvalues, we need to determine the values of lambda that make this equation true. So the reason we need to use the determinant is that it allows us to solve for lambda, which are the solutions to this equation. So the determinant of the matrix A minus lambda times I gives us a scalar value, and setting this determinant equal to 0 ensures that we find the value of lambda that satisfy the equation. So this leads us to a quadratic equation in the case of a 2x2 matrix or higher degree equations for larger matrices, which we can solve using quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula gives us the values of lambda and then the eigenvalues by solving for the roots of the equation. So in short, determinants help us set up the characteristic equation, and the quadratic formula allows us to solve for the eigenvalues, which are the key to understanding the principal component analysis or the principal components of our data. So we compute the eigenvectors. So first is we compute the eigenvalue. So using the determinant of S, the covariance matrix, minus lambda times I is equal to 0. So we substitute the values here. So we have since our covariance matrix solved earlier is we have 14 minus the lambda, and we have negative 11, and 23 minus lambda equal to 0. Now to find the lambda, we use the in finding the determinant of S minus lambda I. So we have here 14 minus lambda times 23 minus lambda minus negative 11 times negative 11 equal to 0, and then we combine similar terms and solve the we combine the similar terms, and then we got the lambda squared minus 37 lambda plus 201 equal to 0. So using quadratic equation, we got here a value of lambda 1 and lambda 2, which is 30.3849 and 6.6151. So this means that our lambda 1 is greater than our lambda 2. Now to find the eigenvector, so we have now our eigenvalue that lambda 1 and lambda 2. So we now find the eigenvector of lambda 1. So note that our covariance matrix earlier was this one, and then the eigenvalues we calculated, we have lambda sub 1 is equal to 30.3849 and lambda sub 2 equal to 6.6151. Now, for finding the eigenvector for lambda sub 1, so we compute this one as this is s minus lambda times I. So we have here this one, and then we substitute the value lambda, which is 30.3849, in this matrix. So we have 14 minus 30.3849 and then 23 minus 30.3849. So we got this answer, and then writing the eigenvector equation, which is the covariance matrix minus lambda times the identity matrix times V. So we have here, and then expanding the equations, so we got negative 16.3849 v sub 1 minus 11 v sub 2 equal to 0. And then on the second row, we have negative 11 v sub 1 minus 7.3849 v sub 2 equal to 0. So now we solve one of the equations for one variable in terms of the other. So we have here v sub 2 is equal to negative 16.3849 over 11 v sub 1, which is equal to negative 1.4895 v sub 1. So eigenvectors represent directions in the data space, as I have said earlier, but their magnitude or length is not important. What matters is the direction. However, to make the eigenvectors comparable and easier to work with, so we normalize them to have a unit length, so typically by scaling them to a length of 1. So this ensures that we have the consistency, or we consider that all eigenvectors are on the same scale, which allows us to compare them directly. And then moreover, a normalized eigenvector represents a clear direction in the data, so where the focus is purely on the variance captured by the eigenvalue without being influenced by the eigenvector's original scale. So in summary, normalizing eigenvectors ensures that we focus on the direction of maximum variance while maintaining consistent, interpretable results in PCA. So again, so we normalize, again we must normalize the eigenvectors, so which is now our next slide. So we normalize the eigenvector. So by doing this, so we'll let v sub 1 equals to 1, then v sub 2 is equal to 1.4895. So 1.4895 is from the value that we get earlier previously. So this one, when we solve the equation for one variable in terms of the other. So we have this one, and then by this formula of normalizing vectors, so we get 1.7940, and then this value here will be divided on the unnormalized eigenvector above here. So we have 1 over 1.7940, and then the second one is we have negative 1.4895 divided by 1.7940. Then next is, now so we already have the eigenvector for lambda sub 1. Now for lambda sub 2, so we have here same process, and then we got a value of b sub 2, which is 0.6714 b sub 1, and then we will use that one here as our in normalizing the eigenvector. So we have b sub 2 is equals to 1 and then 0.6714. So by following the formula again, so we get this normalized eigenvector, which is 0.8302 and 0.5574 for lambda sub 2. So Next is, step 4 is, since meron na tayong eigenvalue, meron na din tayong eigenvector. So, next is, we create a feature vector. So, naalala nyo, sinabi ko kanina na yung merong pinakamalaking eigenvalue is yun yung pinaka-significant na information. So, in here, yung may pinakamalaki is yung lambda 1, which is 30.3849, unlike sa lambda 2, which is only 6.6151. So, the percentage of variance explained by vector 1 is 82.2%, while the percentage of variance explained by v sub 2 is only 17.8%. Now, after calculating the eigenvalues, so the components with the largest eigenvalues are selected. So, for example, if our lambda 1 is 30.849 and our lambda 2 is 6.6151, so we would rather choose vector or the PC1 because it explains much larger portion of the variance compared to PC2. Now, the last step is projecting data on the first principal component. So again, the formula we are gonna use is to multiply the matrix of the mean-centered that we solved in step 1 and the W, which is the chosen eigenvector or the chosen feature vector. So we have now our new feature, which is negative 4.3054, and then 3.7364, and 5.6931, and last is negative 5.1241. Now, after showing how PCA works manually, so we try to use PCA using the Python software. So these are the codes in Python. So in this project, we use the iris dataset, which is available na sa Python. Built-in na siya sa Python. So the dataset consists of 50 samples from each of 3 species of iris. So basically, 3 times 50, so all in all, we have 150 number of samples. So the rows being the samples and the columns being, we have the 4 features: sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and the petal width. So applying PCA in this dataset, first is we standardize the data. So without standardization, features with larger variances will have more influence on principal components, which may lead to misleading results if variance does not reflect importance. So same lang yun kanina na we need to normalize the eigenvectors. And then dito naman, the first step is we need to standardize the data. So we have our code here, and then in standardizing the data, and then after step 1 is we have finding the covariance matrix or solving for the covariance matrix. So in Python, we have this code here, and then the covariance matrix of standardized data can be calculated through the codes here. So we have now our covariance matrix, a 4x4 matrix, since we have 4 number of features. So 4 squared is equal to 16. So we have 16 entries, data entries. So 16 entries in a matrix. So step 3 is to find the eigenvalues and eigenvectors of the covariance matrix. So we have our code here, and then we have the resulting eigenvalues of 2.93808505, and then 0.9201649, and then we have 0.147748182, and then 0.02085386. And then our eigenvectors, we have here 4x4 matrix. 4x1 matrix each eigenvector. So we have here our eigenvectors, which is a 4x1 matrix corresponding to each eigenvalue. Yun. So first is we need to rearrange first the eigenvectors and eigenvalues. So isort lang natin yung eigenvalues in descending order and pair it to its corresponding eigenvector. So we have here the result, and then after we choose or we find, so after rearranging the eigenvectors and eigenvalues, we now choose the principal components, so or the feature. So we choose the first k eigenvectors, where k is the number of dimensions of the new feature subspace, wherein k is less than or equal to n features. So sa pag-apply na natin ng so based on the results above, PC1 and PC2 capture the majority of the variance, while PC3 and PC4 contribute minimally. So based on the graph, the curve rises steeply for the first two components only. Then, after that, it flattens. So showing that the first two components account for most of the variability in the data. And then, after that, since PC1 and PC2, sila lang yung may pinakamataas na eigenvalue, so sila lang din yung i-transform natin or i-project natin sa data. So, here is we visualize transform data in PCA space of the first two. We have PC1 and PC2. So, we have here the graph. And kung i-print natin to ang projected na data, so from 4 number of features, dalawa na lang ang features ng new dataset. So, step 5 shows that the first principal component explains, so we have here 72.96% of the total variance, while the second explains 22.85%. So therefore, the first two components together explain about 95.81% of the variance. So the graph shows a sharp increase in explained variance for the first two components, after which the curve levels off. So this indicates that most of the variance can be captured with just two components. So imagine we have 95.81%. So this suggests dimensionality reduction from 4 features to 2 components is sufficient for this dataset. So to conclude, principal component analysis is a powerful tool for dimensionality reduction, so allowing us to simplify complex datasets while retaining critical information. So by understanding the steps involved, from mean centering and covariance matrix computation to projecting data into principal components, we can uncover hidden patterns and trends in the data. So in summary, PCA enables us to make sense of large, high-dimensional datasets by focusing on most meaningful features, so ultimately leading to more efficient and effective analysis. So I hope this report has provided valuable insights into the power of PCA and its applications. So thank you for listening.